Fuga Melodies of Steel was one of the most underrated gems of the past few years. With its lovable cast of characters, fun strategic elements, development in the downtime, and overall vivid setting and presentation, I found Fuga a really fun game, and so I was excited to hear about a sequel. While much of what we have seen so far appears to be a continuation of the first game, given the quality of that game, I think we're still in for a good time, and that hasn't stopped them from introducing some wrinkles into the gameplay as well. One of the reasons for my channel is to highlight games that I think deserve more attention, and so I hope my video can get you hyped for Fuga 2 or curious about the series if you haven't played the original. Fuga Melodies of Steel 2 is a turn-based RPG developed and published by CyberConnect 2. The Fuga games are a sub-series of the Little Tail Bronx series that began back in 1998, set in a world of anthropomorphized cats and dogs. The series was dormant for a while before Fuga Melodies of Steel came out in July of 2021, and while the game reviewed well, sales were slower to come, although positive word of mouth has appeared to help. Despite this, CyberConnect 2 has greenlit not just Fuga 2, but a third game as well, which is encouraging that they're really giving the series a chance to grow and find an audience. Fuga Melodies of Steel 2 will be launching May 11th, 2023 for PS5, PS4, Xbox Series, Xbox One, Switch, and PC on several storefronts. The game will also be available via Xbox Game Pass for console and PC, so there are more than enough places to play this game. Like the first game though, the second game is only a digital release. Since this is a direct sequel to the first game, there may be some incidental spoilers. For those who are interested in the series but don't want to risk being spoiled on anything, feel free to check out my video on the first game linked in the description. For all of you who remain, let's talk about what our favorite child soldiers have been thrust into this time. Around a year after the events of the first game, our cast is thrust back into action when the Tyrannus that they used in their adventure in the first game has gone berserk and made off with some of the kids. In order to catch it, they'll have to board their old foe, the Tarrascus, and set out after the Tyrannus to get their friends back. All of the original cast return for the sequel, and a new child, Vanilla, joins the crew. The fires of war aren't done with our kiddos, and the trailers are really implying some grief by the end of this journey. Can they catch up and prevent it from breaking the peace that they secured in the first game? While the first game's story wasn't groundbreaking, it was effective in depicting a world and introducing us to these characters and making us care about them. It had a really charming cast, along with a setting where we had to constantly worry about these adorable ragamuffins. The sequel, I hope, can match that and maybe delve greater into their characters and give them arcs to work on. That definitely seems to be the case for our leader Malt, but we'll just have to see what he loses to hit some of the points of despair we see in the trailers. I am both excited to see what happens and feeling some trepidation at what might occur. We must protect the kiddos. The main part of gameplay comes when traveling between locations. Along the path, you will have many different spots, each offering different things. There are spots for supplies, healing, and recovery of SP. These you go over without stopping to do anything, but are really important to balance out with the bigger events, those being the intermissions spent in the tank, the expeditions to ruins, and of course, the battles. I'll get more into each of those in detail later in the video, but all of these were present in Fuga 1. Fuga 2 has added in a couple new stops on your journey. There are the resolution and empathy events that have the cast interacting and giving Malt a chance to give resolution or empathy points that impact his leadership skills for use in combat. Then there are the meetup points that involve the kids interacting with people outside of the main cast. As seen in the example video, these also have choices that can get you rewards, such as helping to fix a machine or the coupon for a store later down the line. I don't know how deep this system goes, but I like the expanded choices along the route and increasing the cast's interactions between each other and with outside folks as well. There is one last addition though that has a major impact on this part of the game, and that is the airship services. As you travel around, there are different routes that you can take, varying in rewards, difficulty of enemies, and the like. More difficult routes tend to have greater rewards, but it was always fixed in the first game and you didn't have much you could do to change your upcoming route. The airship services allow you to do just that. By using money, you can ask for additional healing or SP recovery on a route, or ask them to destroy certain enemies on the route. You even still collect experience from destroyed enemies if you take that option, although I have a suspicion that it is less than you would get from fighting them outright. The airship also offers a store to buy and sell items at, which is nice since the first game you could only do that in one of the towns. The biggest service the airship offers, though, comes in the form of transporting the Tarrascus elsewhere along the route. This can mean skipping a tough section, but it also allows you to go backwards and potentially collect rewards from a route you didn't go last time. I love that addition to the gameplay, and as with much of the game, the emphasis on player choice is clear here, along with the continued risk versus reward thought process you always have to make during this journey. Due to it being limited by money, it seems like a balanced system, but I'm really looking forward to seeing how this changes my strategy and thought process while traveling around. When it comes to battles, you'll be facing off against a series of enemies. You can see on the map if you'll be facing 1, 2, or 3 waves of enemies in each stop. Your tank has 3 guns that you can assign a primary and backup character to. Each character has a color designating their type of gunner. Blue is for low damage but high accuracy, red is high damage but low accuracy, and yellow is balanced. Each enemy has a set of weaknesses to these specific guns, and by taking those out, you can massively delay their next turn and get in some good damage or even take them out completely. One of the important parts of this is being able to adjust who your gunners are on the fly, which you can do at any time, and then there is a 3-turn cooldown before you can do it again, so you gotta plan wisely while you are switching things around. Each character also has a set of skills that they can use with the SP pool. Every character shares SP, so make sure to choose your skills wisely. The HP you have to watch out for, though, is the HP for the Tarrascus, but even though your characters can't die this way, significant damage to the Tarrascus can give negative status effects to your characters, or in severe cases, knock them out, making them unable to be used until they rest up in the intermission periods. Status effects are crucial both for your use against the enemy and working to counteract them when they happen to you. Depending on a character's mood, you can enter hero mode, which gives them significant boosts unique to each character. For example, Vanilla's hero mode allows her to act immediately after taking damage. These are some powerful abilities that can help turn a battle around, or at least hopefully turn it around, cause if not, there is one foolproof way to win each battle. A simple way that will destroy every enemy in front of you, from the first enemies you face to the biggest, baddest boss. The Soul Cannon. A cannon that can destroy all enemies at the cost of one of your characters. A devastating loss, but if you've exhausted all other options and are on the brink of defeat, is there another option? Okay, sure, you can reload and try again, but you get what I mean. The Soul Cannon returns from the first game, but the Tarrascus actually has an alternative method of accomplishing that same goal, one with a less deadly side effect. That would be the Monogarm, which instead of using a child's soul, uses their energy instead. Using the Monogarm knocks out a child, leaving them unable to battle until they rest. Why then are they different? Well, unlike the first game, you can't choose who the Soul Cannon uses, and there is a countdown to when it gets used in combat, so if you're running out of time, using the Monogarm may be the only way to save your characters. I'm still not sure how I feel about this as a system. I'll have to see how it works in the game, but it certainly puts more pressure on for tough fights. The last new addition to combat comes with Malt's leader skills. Some of the choices in the game give Malt empathy or resolution points. Collect enough of one type and you'll unlock a leadership skill that can activate during combat. Think of them similarly to the potentials of Valkyria Chronicles. Helpful boosts that activate in certain conditions, but they are impacted and developed by your choices throughout the game. I already enjoyed Fuga's combat from the first game, and the second game has made me even more eager to get into the game and test out these new systems. I really think they've been well thought through and are going to interact in interesting ways that give us some powerful and fun strategies. The next part of gameplay to talk about is the expeditions. Sometimes either from the main map or the base during intermissions, you can explore some local ruins for items and treasure. There are enemies to take on though and traps to avoid, and you only have 3 characters, and thus 3 tries to do everything you want to within the ruins. You can collect bullets to take down obstacles and enemies, but be careful, because if you run out, you may have to leave behind some goodies. The only new part of the expedition I could see from the footage involved elemental bullets, but otherwise it's just a fun side diversion that gives some items and experience if you take the time to do it. Finally, the intermissions is where you can take the time to relax and do various things around the tank. There is socializing, such as improving your link ranks with different characters that has a positive impact on combat as well. There is resting and cooking to get people back to full health and boost your performance for the upcoming battles, upgrades that can be made for the tank, materials to gather, and possible ruins to explore if you're so interested. The really important part to manage though is the notebook, where each character specifies what they want to do during that intermission. If you accomplish that thing, the character's mood improves, making them better for battle and pushing them closer to hero mode early on in combat. This is the core management of the game, and I had a great time with it in the first game as a worthwhile breather from the main action. The presentation of the game is very similar to what we saw in the first game. The characters do have updated designs, which are very nice, and with the new systems there are some adjustments to UI, but for the most part Fuga 2 is not straying far from the path. That's not a problem to me. I think that Fuga's distinctive look is one of the things that stands out for the game in a positive way. The character design and backgrounds are quite nice, even if they are largely static, but that was unlikely to change between games anyway. The biggest change that I have seen, or more accurately heard, is from the music. It still has that nostalgic feel to it, but now there's a darker undercurrent and tone. I think it really sets a mood for the game that is more somber than the first one, and I anticipated building up to some powerful tracks later on as the story gets to its climax. Like the first game, there is only a Japanese voice track with the narrator fully voiced and the kids with short lines or exclamations. Given the limited budget to work with, it's not surprising there's not more voice lines, but it still would have been nice to have. The UI and UX though looks as clean as the first game with a clear visual language that's easy to pick up on for any RPG player. The presentation is competent and merges together to give a great sense of the world even with its limitations. Fuga Melodies of Steel was a hidden gem, and everything that I have seen so far about Fuga 2 makes me sure that CyberConnect 2 has put in some hard work to make it a worthy follow-up game. If you enjoy RPGs with a mix of strategy and base building in a world of cute animal characters that may or may not be setting off for emotional pain, then I think the Fuga series is for you. Let me know if you're planning on playing Fuga 2 in the comments, and give a like to this video if you enjoyed. Subscribe for more content, and I hope to see you all in the next video. Have a great day, and happy gaming.